Jake Schreier's Thunderbolts has really sparked a lot of conversation among MCU fans, mainly because of one moment that stood out as a major shock. But even though some fans debated the way certain characters were handled, the film also opens up exciting possibilities for the MCU, especially when it comes to Yelena Belova. Thunderbolts brings back a bunch of secondary anti-heroes from the MCU and gives them a chance to shine in a team-up setting, almost like passing the torch to a new generation of Avengers, which is something that could be explored even more in future installments. One of the more interesting threads in the MCU leading up to Thunderbolts comes from Black Widow, particularly a deleted scene that hints at a potential redemption arc for Taskmaster. In the original movie, Natasha Romanoff and Taskmaster escape the Red Room as it collapses, avoiding the authorities led by Thaddeus Ross. But in this alternate cut, Natasha actually stays behind and gets captured, and while she's facing the aftermath of the Red Room, she notices Taskmaster, Antonia Dreykov, being transported away unconscious. Natasha makes a very deliberate request to Ross, asking him to take care of her because she's been through so much. That line shows just how much Natasha saw potential in Antonia, and it frames Taskmaster as a character who could have had a more nuanced journey post-Black Widow. Fast forward to Thunderbolts, and Taskmaster has only a brief moment before being killed, which leaves a lot of what could have been a layered storyline feeling abrupt. Even though Taskmaster's arc wasn't fully explored, the seeds were there for her to grow into a more developed character like her comics counterpart, becoming a recognizable and complex figure in the MCU. And considering Natasha personally advocated for her well-being, it's clear that the foundation was laid for Antonia Dreykov to have a more meaningful path. Now, even though time travel and variants introduced in Loki could technically bring Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow back, she herself seems happy to step away. In interviews, Johansson has said she prefers to exit while on top, feeling proud of the story she helped tell. And that makes sense. Her sacrifice in Endgame was a major emotional beat for the MCU, and undoing it would undercut the narrative impact of the original trilogy. But that doesn't close the door on the future for her legacy, because Black Widow did something very deliberate. It passed the torch to Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova. Yelena has quickly become a fan-favorite character, and there's so much potential for her in the MCU moving forward. She's appeared in multiple projects already, including Black Widow, Thunderbolts, and the Disney Plus series Hawkeye, and there's even talk of her showing up in Marvel Zombies. Yelena is essentially positioned as the next Black Widow in the MCU, and her story is still just getting started. Because she's so dynamic, any future movies, particularly a second Black Widow film or sequels to Thunderbolts, could really explore her evolution as a hero and her own personal journey. To really understand Yelena's significance, it's worth noting her comic book history. She was first sketched in Marvel Knights, Wave 2 Sketchbook No. 1 in 1998, and made her debut in Inhumans Volume 2 No. 5 in 1999. Later, she starred in her own miniseries, Black Widow, under the Marvel Knights imprint. Over the years, she became the second incarnation of the Black Widow, often positioned as both a rival and ally to Natasha Romanoff. This duality makes her story especially rich because she's not just filling a role, she's carving out her own identity within the same world Natasha once dominated. Yelena's solo adventures, like Black Widow, Pale Little Spider, further highlight her growth as a character, balancing the life of a trained assassin with her own moral compass and personal ambitions. All of this history really opens up so many storytelling possibilities. For instance, a second Black Widow movie or even a continuation of the Thunderbolts franchise could focus on Yelena's perspective. It could explore how she handles the legacy Natasha left behind while stepping into her own role as a hero, which would be exciting because she's still young and capable of developing in unexpected ways. And the timing is perfect because with the MCU moving into new phases, there's plenty of room to center stories around characters who have already been introduced but haven't yet had the chance to fully shine on their own. Another exciting angle is how Yelena could cross over into Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Given her experience and training, she would make a compelling addition to the street-level heroes of New York. The series could explore her balancing a life of espionage and heroics while interacting with characters like Matt Murdock. There's a lot of potential for mentorship dynamics, tactical collaborations, or even tense rivalries that challenge Yelena to grow in ways that a solo film might not fully explore. Fans have already seen her capable of both lethal efficiency and genuine empathy, and seeing her navigate a world as grounded and gritty as Daredevil's could be a fantastic expansion of her story. Bringing Yelena into Daredevil Born Again would also tie together larger MCU threads, making the universe feel interconnected in the best way. It would allow audiences to see how characters from major globe-spanning events interact with more localized street-level stories, creating a richer narrative tapestry. And it wouldn't just be about action. There's room to explore her internal conflicts, her growth as a new Black Widow, and the weight of Natasha's legacy she carries forward. Of course, Thunderbolts itself sets the stage for this evolution. The movie introduces audiences to a mix of anti-heroes and morally gray characters who all have their own backstories and motivations. Yelena fits naturally into this environment because she's already shown she can handle the weight of her past while taking proactive steps toward her future. By giving her a prominent role in a sequel or related projects, the MCU can continue building a character arc that feels earned, exciting, and emotionally satisfying for longtime fans as well as newcomers. Even though Taskmaster's story in Thunderbolts was brief, Yelena's journey can highlight a different path for former operatives of the Red Room. While Natasha had to make difficult choices that shaped the MCU's past, Yelena now has the opportunity to redefine what it means to be a Black Widow. She can step out of the shadow of her mentor, make her own decisions, and bring a fresh energy to the role, whether that's in standalone movies, Thunderbolt sequels, or TV appearances like Daredevil Born Again. It's also worth noting that Yelena's presence in multiple media formats is a smart move for Marvel. She's appeared in Disney Plus series, she's a central figure in movies, and her story naturally lends itself to comic tie-ins and special appearances in other narratives. This multi-platform presence helps keep fans invested in her character, and it makes any future projects, whether they're sequels, spin-offs, or crossover episodes, feel like a natural continuation rather than forced additions. Looking forward, a second Black Widow movie, or even a sequel focusing on Yelena's adventures post-Thunderbolts, has so much to work with. It can explore her training, her missions, her moral decisions, and how she navigates relationships, both with heroes like Daredevil and new allies introduced in Thunderbolts. It could also dive deeper into her own backstory, maybe revealing more about her time in the Red Room or her internal struggles, and show her using that experience to shape the future of the MCU's next generation of Black Widows. By centering Yelena in these projects, Marvel also sets up a smooth narrative transition. Natasha's era was about sacrifice, legacy, and closing certain chapters of the MCU. Yelena's era can be about growth, responsibility, and finding one's own identity in a universe full of larger-than-life characters. Whether it's taking the lead in a new Black Widow film, playing a key role in Thunderbolt sequels, or showing up in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Yelena's story is just getting started, and the possibilities are endless for how Marvel can explore her character in exciting, meaningful ways. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.